For me, it kind of blends the old and the new. I feel that it's kind of like exactly the perfect margin where it's not too new, it's not too old. The 964 was a sweet spot. It did all the right things. It had the right looks, the right sounds, the right smells, the right feels. It was just the perfect blend. Pretty interesting car, I'll tell you that much. There was no way that I ever thought that I was going to own a Porsche. You know, that was a very wealthy man's car. I was not wealthy by any means. And I just never thought that was in my wheelhouse to ever attain that. I never really put that like as an aspiration that I was going to own one of those. I had owned a few air-cooled VW Beetles that were modified, and so it was an easy segue for me to get into that area of my life because it was the natural progression for me from an air-cooled position to say, okay, well, I'm ready to step up from a Beetle or a bus, and what's the next level for me? Okay, well, you know, Porsche, an air-cooled Porsche. It actually took me a few years to find the car. I was very specific on looking for a guards red car with black interior. A lot of people in the 964 realm, or if you've ever looked for a 964, the interior on a lot of guards red cars are tan. That was just the times. It wasn't just Porsche, it was all German cars. Everything really black, white, red. They thought that was very Ferrari-esque to put a tan interior inside the car. So I really wanted a guards red car, but I really didn't want tan interior. So I kind of went on a 2-year journey to kind of find that car because I found a few cars that kind of made the mark, but they had the tan interior. It was a Carrera 4. I really wanted a Carrera 2 that really spoke to me. Like I wanted the rear wheel drive. I didn't want the all-wheel drive car. And ended up finding it in North Georgia, and actually Le Mans driver and owner, Dick Barber, it was one of his cars. So that in itself, I was sold. My mind is always thinking about things in life, but when I get in that car, I don't think about anything. I think about driving the car, I think about everything because I'm fully engaged when I'm in that car. So it really is kind of like a sensory overload. Your vision, you're looking outside of the car, you're getting smells from the car, from the old oil and the leather and everything mixing together. And the feel of the shifter in your hand, the rifle bolt action, the sounds from the exhaust, the sound from the air-cooled engine itself. It's very exhilarating. The best way I can really describe that car is just like, it's an escape. If you pay attention to Porsche a lot, you understand almost everything that you're driving or has anything influence on your vehicle. The derivative of that has come from motorsport.
The test track. Production models, prototypes, and 1,000 horsepower racing machines try their wheels here.
It brings us back to a time that we can never turn back to. You know, as much as we try to be innovative, we do reach back into our past, right? So we try to look back into our past to say, wow, that was a really cool time to be around. And when you leave this earth, you know, you want to kind of have an imprint. You want to leave it better than you were when you were here, right? So that's kind of the way I was raised. And I try to have a positive impact on as many people as I can, as many days as I can. The Porsche community strength is real. It's a real thing. You know, it's a real brotherhood. It's a real sisterhood. It's a real people are just together. You know, people really care about each other. I think at the end of the day, I think what we're trying to do is like trying to leave a love impact on everything. One day I called Aaron out of the blue. I said, "Hey man, is there a Porsche only podcast because there were people who would talk about Porsche, but they would talk about other things. But for Aaron and I, that we were so deep into the motorsport side of it and so, I guess, struck and in love with Porsche, I guess, we just wanted to hear Porsche stuff. But we got to the point where we said, why don't we give this a run? Why don't we give Pcartalk a shot and see if, you know, anyone will listen to us. We almost kind of feel responsible at this point in this digital era of saying, hey, let's put this story, you know, down and record it for somebody in the future. Being deployed, having lost fellow soldiers and things, people close to me. So I appreciate every day that I, you know, spend above ground, and all the time that I spent in the military, you know, it made me who I am as a person. And, you know, I wouldn't be here today without those strengths that I learned while I was in the military. And I think everybody's experienced a lot of, like, within Porsche, there's a lot of, like, segregation, right? I think our ultimate goal is to break those barriers down, because at the end of the day, we all live under the brand of Porsche. And I think we want to just try to say, hey, we're all stronger together. You know, we want to be humble, and we want to do everything we can to help support and help carry the torch. For people that are loyal people and genuine people by nature, it's easy for them to gravitate towards the Porsche community. It's hard to predict the future, right? So you can try to plan as much as you can, but I think there's no substitute for Porsche. I used to do a lot of helicopter missions, and you know, when we'd be going into like a hot zone, and the helicopter ride is very loud. You know, you got your headsets on, you know, you guys are talking. There's a lot of wind noise, there's a lot of noise going on. And for me, the 964, that kind of zens me out. It's loud, the windows are down, the wind is blowing hard, and it kind of takes me back to those moments, you know, and then boom, like I'm in that zone right there instantly, like zenned out, ready for action, like when I'm in that car and blast off.